Putin. Sergei Ryabkov tells Russian state media that a possible Trump-Putin summit would involve broad talks on global issues, including the war in Ukraine. Efforts to organize such a meeting are at an early stage. Ryabkov says U.S. and Russian envoys could meet within the next 2 weeks to pave the way for further talks among senior officials. I'm going to
You'll find more news, breaking news and stories at townhall.com. I'm Ron Taylor reporting.
Frequently talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life, like it has mine. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Try it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call to 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800, the number 4-RELIEF. 1-800, the number 4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start. Visit ReliefFactor.com. That's ReliefFactor.com. Or call 1-800, the number 4-RELIEF. 800-4-RELIEF for Relief Factor.
France's president visits the White House this coming week, at odds with President Trump on how to end the war in Ukraine. We have more on this story from correspondent Lawrence Brooks.
French President Emmanuel Macron has said he intends to tell Donald Trump that it's in the joint interest of Americans and Europeans not to be weak in the face of Russia's Vladimir Putin.
Et donc ce que je vais faire, c'est que je vais lui dire, au fond, tu peux pas être faible face au président Poutine.
In a 1-hour Q&A session on the French president's YouTube channel, Macron said he'll ask Trump, how can you be credible in front of China if you're weak in front of Putin? It comes a week after US-led talks with Russia to end the almost 3-year war in Ukraine. I'm Lawrence Brooks.
In the meantime, the United States has proposed a draft resolution for the UN General Assembly that stops short of a competing European-backed statement demanding an immediate withdrawal of all of Moscow's forces from Ukraine. You'll find more on this story, plus breaking news at townhall.com. A famous dog sled race is forced to track farther north to Alaska than usual. Here's George Williams.
A lack of snow along a dangerous stretch of the world-famous Iditarod sled dog race has led to its rerouting for the 4th time in its history. The ceremonial start will still be in Anchorage next Saturday, but the official start
Good morning, Scott.
will be 2 days later in Fairbanks, about 360 miles north, where it also began in 2003, 2015, and 2017. The race takes about 10 days all told, with the winner crossing the finish line in Nome. George Williams reporting.
Hundreds of thousands of federal workers have a little more than 40 hours to explain what they accomplished over the last week.
You want this chair?
Voters want billionaire Elon Musk today to slash what he describes as
Wait.
wasted from the federal government.
You want a glass on it?
Yeah.
He shared an extraordinary request on his
You do a lot for us.
network and says
Not
they
early.
will respond to
Say no.
resignation.
Though it's hard.
This is found at townhall.com.
Thank
I'm
you.
Ron Taylor.
I can set up
The
my
opinions
show
expressed
and,
on this program are those of the host and do not express the views of WDDF ownership or Hometown Talk Radio. Content aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests. Hey, Joey, what's happening? I mean, what's happening in Middleboro and surrounding towns? It's time for the Middleboro Weekend Review with your host, Joey Driscoll. Stay tuned for news.
What?
Middleboro News.
Yep, yellow mic and green mic.
1530 WVBS.
Make sure that's off.
Hey, Joey, what's
It is
happening?
not. Alright, we're gonna do a Carol Dora's obituary first. First things first with that. State Representative Carol Ann Doherty, 82, a longtime resident of Taunton, passed away peacefully on Saturday, February 15th, 2015, after a brave battle with pancreatic cancer. Surrounded by her loving family, she was the devoted wife of Dennis Cook, with whom she shared 34 wonderful years. The daughter of the late John and Mary Chintray, Carol was born on February 28, 1942. She graduated from Westport High School in 1959. and went on to earn a bachelor's degree in business administration from Boston University, followed by a master's degree in education from Bridgewater State College. Since 1965, she has been a proud Tauntonian. Carol's life was dedicated to children. She worked as a third-grade teacher in New Bedford and later at Taunton Edmund Hatch Bennett School, where she later became a guidance counselor. She loved to recount stories of students approaching her in the supermarket or around town whom she had taught decades before, always beaming with pride in her former pupils. Carol's enthusiasm for education extended beyond the classroom. She served as the president of the Taunton Education Association, and in 1980 was elected president of the Massachusetts Teachers Association, the Commonwealth's largest teachers union, which she helmed for 2 terms until 1984. Elected to the Taunton School Committee in 2011, Carol would go on to serve 5 terms. In 2020, she was elected state representative for the 3rd Bristol District, Taunton and Easton, in a special election, and would go on to be re-elected in 2022 and 24. As state representative, Carol was a constant presence around the district. She often remarked that your presence is often noted less than your absence. But in reality, when she walked into a room, there was little chance anyone could miss the lady with the big hair. Her smile could disarm most, and she was known for her quick wit, warm presence, and genuine care for all she encountered. Carol loved the work of being a state representative. During her time in the legislature, Carol distinguished herself as an ardent advocate for children, the disabled, and the dispossessed. She introduced legislation to lower costs for working families and seniors, to ensure American Sign Language is offered in each of the Commonwealth's public schools, and to establish CPR and AED training as a statewide graduation requirement. While she was an ardent Democrat, she never let party distinction get in the way of working for the public good, often reaching across the aisle to her Republican colleagues to cooperate on bipartisan legislation. Carol believed people in public life have a unique responsibility to improve the lives of the people they serve. To that end, she was devoted to constituent services, often working until the early hours of the morning to secure unemployment assistance for people laid off during the COVID-19 pandemic, housing for families in need, and help for those, any and all who needed it. Always one to join a cause she believed in, Carol was a member of many local organizations. A partial list includes co-host of the Silver City Meeting House radio show on WBBF, founder of the Taunton Community Gardens, board member of Triumph Inc., board member of the Towntown Taunton Foundation, board member of the Taunton Area Community Table, Taunton Civic Chorus, Easton Lions Club, Taunton Elks Lodge 150, Prince Henry Society of Taunton, Kiwanis Club of Taunton, and the Rotary Club of Taunton. A proud daughter of immigrant parents from Madeira and Cabo Verde, Carol took pride in her heritage. Many times over the years, she traveled to her ancestral homelands and enjoyed their food, music, and culture. She and Dennis also made regular trips to Europe, visiting Spain, Italy, Greece, Austria, England, and France. Visiting hours will be held on Friday, February the 28th, 2025, from 1 to 7 p.m. at the Capo Hathaway Funeral Home, 350 Somerset Avenue in Taunton. The service celebrating Carol's life will be announced at a later date. In lieu of flowers, memorial contributions may be made to the Carol Doherty Foundation. P.O. Box 704, Taunton, Massachusetts, 02780.
You had the opportunity and privilege to work with her for 7 years on Silver City Meeting House.
Yes.
Every time I saw her, she lit the room up. Her smile, she was such a wonderful, wonderful person. She made me feel good. And she made you feel good because she gave you a lot of respect, because you worked the board the last 7 years at Silver City Meeting House with Carol and Barry Sanders, and they both treated you like gold. And anyone who treats my son like gold is gold, and it's just something. Like I said, she lights up the room every time you walk in the door.
Yes.
And working with children, that's something that's, always dear to my heart as far as anybody.
I didn't know her too well. When I was a legislative aide for Senator Brady, I did run into her on the trail, so to speak, and you could tell the respect that she had was just implicit from the people who came to support her. And I remember the part that stuck out that I didn't think of, that you mentioned, that she did work across the aisle. She believed we run and we still have to work together because you're supporting the whole community of Massachusetts, not just your own and not just what you believe in. And I think that is a dying breed, no pun intended. And I thought she did bring a lot because she could work. She was there to work with everyone and did.
Working with her I was on the board for Silver City Meeting House and working with her and Barry. You could tell she really cared about the community. She really, really cared about the community, and so does Barry. During that show, every single week, they talked about a lot of issues that were important to Taunton. And again, you could tell that she really cared about the community and the people in it.
I could tell that she really liked you because you got Barry and yourself used to kind of hijack the program a little bit when it came to the soccer.
A little bit.
And she used to irritate her a little bit, but it was a cool, irritating way. It was just, I bet she had a big smile when she was being irritated over about that. But you know what I mean? It's just it was so good because they loved you, she loved you, so and I mean I just it was great listening, and I loved listening to that show.
Yeah.
And we're gonna miss her. I mean, she called in about a year and a half ago on the show. We had Dr. Ed in too, and she was on the phone for a whole hour, and we talked about a lot of things, and was happy to have her call in, and it was good that she called in on our show. And but we're gonna miss her. I mean, that's just rough news last week when you told me.
All right, 7:16 a.m. We have open phone lines today, 508-822-1106. If you want to call in. We have Ed Miller on with us this morning. Good morning, Ed. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure to come down and talk to both of you. I always think we have great discussions in what's happening in our area and in our country. So I always enjoy this little 7 a.m. visit.
Oh, that's what you do.
But every time invited, I come down.
You do.
And more than happy to be on.
Appreciate it. I know
Right.
you've got a lot going on. At 7 a.m. studio bound individual is a tall order, and
Yes,
yeah,
it
we're
is.
right. Yeah, we appreciate you coming.
I do sit at home. I go, I wonder if they'll mind if I call in.
That'd be fine, but
Yeah.
I mean, something about being in the studio.
It's a lot.
It's a lot more personal. But
Nothing's
I mean,
distracting me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. But
All
I
right.
mean, I think you do your best work, as far as in the studio at the microphone, because when I'm looking at the microphone, I stare at the microphone. I just stare at the microphone. I don't know, not staring at anything else but the microphone and the host and the guest.
All right, 7:17 a.m. Let's take our first commercial break right now. When we come back, we'll open up. Well, phone lines are open now. 508-822-1106. You can call in, talk about whatever is on your mind this morning. It is Sunday. And it's going to be a little bit warmer today than it has been, which is a good thing.
Yeah, some of that ice, gonna melt some of that ice. The walking's been terrible.
Absolutely, yes. It's going to melt the ice, which is going to be great because I saw a lot of ice on the not on the roads per se, but like on like sidewalks and parking lots and all this other
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, you gotta melt it because you don't want people falling and hurting themselves.
Exactly. So that should start happening today and into tomorrow. So that's all good news there. But we'll talk about the weather a little bit later on in the program today. I think we'll do the weather at the end of the show today instead of the beginning of the show. So we'll have all that, much more on the show today. But let's take our first commercial break right now. This is WVBF 1530 AM, 99.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Got anything on mind you wanna talk about? Got anything? No?
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Sure, you can pass me my coffee.
Coffee. Okay. Let's do it.
Spell it. Oh, Chris, I ain't seeing this. That's screen bad. I'll be real careful.
Yep. I'm gonna do it that way.
Are you located at 48 Spark Street in Brockton, Massachusetts, offers the highest quality collision repair and complete auto service for your car. We are a direct repair shop for all major insurance companies. You can reach them at 508-583-1495. They're open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and 8 to 4 on Fridays. Call them today. You will not be disappointed. 508-583-1495.
Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association is an association of combat veterans from all branches of the United States Armed Forces who ride motorcycles as a hobby. Our mission is to support those who have defended our country and freedoms. Our focus is to help veteran care facilities provide a warm meal, clothing, shelter, and guidance, or simply to say thank you and welcome home. We have members from nearly all 50 states and living abroad. Many members continue to serve in our armed forces, with several serving in combat areas now. We sponsor and or participate in many motorcycle-related charity events each year, and as a nonprofit organization, donate to various veteran care facilities and veteran charities. To learn more about the Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association and how you can join or support, please visit cvma2-2.org.
Okay. 3, 2, 0.
George, maybe it might be a good idea to ask Ed who's got on the show.
We'll do that first. Yes. We'll do that first as I try to figure out what to talk about.
Yeah.
Alright, here we go. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we are back here on home. I almost said hometown talk.
The man of many hats, sir.
The man of many hats, yes, the man of 4 shows. This is Middleboro in Review. There we go. We're here with Ed Miller, and first thing I want to ask him is, Ed, what's going on for the show this morning?
Well,
Exactly.
I haven't really zoned it down, but I have different articles. We'll talk about what's happening in Brockton. The bird flu epidemic has some new information. They closed down one of the parks up there, DW Fields, and now partially reopened it. We'll talk about that and locally what's happening, and then we'll go to national, because I think I remember my father used to say he was always concerned with what happened locally, because nationally was something out of his purview, and I think that's kind of changed now. Though we still have to worry about what's happening locally, I think we have to worry about what's happening nationally, especially now. And one of the things I want to talk about is, I think web pages like Facebook, like others, should now be treated like a news source, where, like, I could write something to the Brockton Enterprise, or the Enterprise, and be just completely lie through it. Well, they're not going to print it because they have, it could put them in trouble. And I think as we're getting our media from social media, this has been one of my kids for a while, they'll put anything on. And I think if they're going to allow news articles in social media, then they have to be responsible like they were a television station or a paper. And I could be wrong, but this is how disinformation gets in and permeates throughout the country.
Well, those people get their sources from different, their media, their news from different sources. Sometimes old news don't count because you're dealing with something like, press media compared to online media. It's got to be, I don't know, I think it needs to be brought to the center in a way. And then, like it or hate it or whatever your point of view is, at least I think at least it's a level playing field as far as I'm concerned. And they went with the community notes on Facebook now. That's something new that they're doing.
And on X.
On X, yeah. So whatever your preference is, whatever your taste is, as far as what you believe and what your ideology is. I think either or, who cares? You know what I mean? But it's just you're right. We need we need to merge them together so it's almost a level. It's never going to be a level playing field.
It's
Close
going to
enough.
have a basis of factuality in it, and that's kind of disappearing.
Right. Right.
I think that's one of the things that happened nationally this week, and there's one of the Trump press conferences with the governors, and it got a little bit contentious between Trump and the governor of Maine.
Well, that's leave it to President Trump to go after Governor of Maine.
The governor of Maine is Democrat, and and the basic is he brought up that now what you feel about transgender athletes, that's your opinion. I think that has to be a discussion. I think we have to go look at it scientifically. Can it happen? The operation can happen, but the physiology could be an issue. And I said study it and talk about it. But when he brings up something like, well, I wrote an executive order. Now I'm paraphrasing. I read the article and it was out of the Bangor News. What's the word? I'm going to say obliterated because it's the one popping in my head at 7 in the morning. But he wrote an executive order. Well, executive orders are not laws. They're things that the administration. But her answer was fine. He goes, no, she said that's not how it works. It's the state and federal laws she has to follow, which is true. And then he just got all pissy on that. And who knows what's going to happen.
That's classic Trump, though.
Yeah.
That's classic Trump. You gotta expect that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You gotta expect that. That's just the.
But should have even brought up in the governor's breakfast. I don't think. I don't know. You're making a speech like that. You're on your bully pulpit. He has the biggest one. I don't think it's to attack like that. I didn't vote for Trump in either election, but when back in, I think it was 2018, 2017, when he had to make his address on July 4th. That we always had on those days, whoever was president would talk about July 4th and, say unity. And I remember him just attacking everyone on a July 4th testimonial from him that gets played. And that kind of showed me what we're going to be dealing with. And we're dealing with it. And...
But all you can do is see what happens, too. It's just... I personally think there's a lot of overreaction, too. I think these people just need to calm down to see what's going on. I think working together is better than screaming and yelling. That's just
Well,
my.
it's not listening.
It's just. I think we all got every elected official has a duty to the citizens of the United States to make their lives better.
Yeah, and there already has been some work on both sides of the aisle. I mean, just look at the AM Every Cars Act.
Yeah, that's you talk about The Odd Couple. You know the old show, The Odd Couple. Ted Cruz and Senator Ed Markey.
Yeah, and that's what we used to have. But
I think there's still that. It's just not reported.
Well, I
everyone
think
likes
they're
the
too
everyone likes the
scared.
division. Everyone likes the fighting and the back and forth and get
I
the quick
agree.
beats and stuff like that.
But I think everybody's too scared now.
I think there's a lot of cooperation. I just don't think it's pushed. I think the
the
fighting and
cooperation,
bickering
yeah.
is what people want.
So the cooperation is there. It's just not being reported because
It's boring.
yeah, exactly. The media is looking for
Leave
the
it to
juicy
President
stuff.
Trump to be like meet with Janet Mills like in the White House in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just you bring something to the forefront, and the only way he brings is a sledgehammer. And then you know what I'm saying. But the thing is, he's a media guy. You know, so I think
Well, he knows what sells. So.
He knows what sells. He knows what people are looking at.
But unfortunately, it's division and hate.
Yeah.
And we've always had that. But at least we always let the better sides of the angles.
I don't hate anybody. I don't hate
I'm
Janet
saying
Mills. I
overall,
don't. You know. I don't. I think. You know. I look at every governor we have. Okay. And if you don't agree with someone on something, you know there's something. And he even said it too in the thing. He says. He says, "I'm proud of all of you because I know what it's like to win an election." And the executive, he singled them out, saying, "You're executives, and you're different than legislation or whatnot because you have to do everything." So in one breath, he's like, it's like having a fight with your sister. That's how I look at it, back and forth, you know. But I think that's like venting things out. I don't get all emotional about it because. Maine's important too. Maine's part of it, but I don't know. I want to look at the positive part of it because, because we need to move on. Things need to get done.
And with that, it's 7:30. Let's take our news break right now. When we come back, we'll continue with this and many more topics. And your phone calls 508-822-1106, 508-822-1106. We'll be right back after the town hall news from the Salem Radio News Network.
We need a 2-hour show. We need a 2-hour show. Did you do a 2-hour show too much for you?
Probably not. But.
No. Is Tony coming in today?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Relations between the U.S. and Ukraine taking a turn for the worse. White House correspondent Greg Clark.
President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky have engaged in a bitter public feud, which is souring relations between the two countries. Zelensky, unhappy that he was left out of last week's talks to end the Ukraine-Russia war, said Donald Trump was living in a Russian-made disinformation space and wanted the White House team to be more truthful. The president snapped back, calling Zelensky a dictator without elections, and even blamed the Ukrainian leader for Russia's invasion 3 years ago. Ray Cluxton, Washington.
New poll from AP indicates a slight drop in confidence, in America's confidence in the safety of air travel.
64% of U.S. adults say plane travel is very or somewhat safe. That's down slightly from last year when 71% said that. About 2 in 10 adults now say air travel is very or somewhat unsafe, which is up from 12% in 2024. The poll was conducted shortly after the January 30th crash between a passenger jet and Army helicopter near Washington, D.C., but before a Delta jet flipped on its roof while landing in Toronto.
Correspondent Amelia Thompson. German voters to the polls today choosing a new government and an election dominated by worries about the years-long stagnation of Europe's biggest economy and pressure to curb illegal immigration, as well as growing uncertainty about what's going on in Ukraine and Germany's future in NATO. California Governor Gavin Newsom asking Congress to approve nearly $40 billion in aid to help the Los Angeles area recover from January's devastating wildfires. He says the funding will be used to rebuild homes, infrastructures, business, schools, churches, and healthcare facilities. More on these stories at townhall.com.
I hear the term living better. What do you think about? More money, a bigger house, maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How do you sleep during the night? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. It doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. How do I know? Absolutely am a customer. I take Relief Factor daily. No lower
Hey, you had to get oil lately, or have you had to buy oil? You buy oil, right?
Yeah.
You have to buy oil lately? How much was it a gallon? It's like getting colder, right?
356, I think.
Relief
Yeah,
Factor,
sounds right.
relief wherever you're
About
hurting. In 3 weeks or even
average
days,
what I've been paying.
Relief Factor
Yeah.
can give you a chance to rediscover
We're up
the
to-
true meaning of
we're in the
living better
90s.
again. Visit Relief Factor.
We're like 30s.
I know it wasn't that much.
No.
That's 800.
Yeah, he's usually 30. Nicole, right? He's usually 30 cents cheaper than we are. You know.
France's nuclear-powered aircraft carrier and accompanying warships are in the Philippines after holding combat drills with Filipino forces in a disputed South China Sea.
Which oil you go through a month? What's your average? We fill it up every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks.
The
That seems about right,
Yeah.
At Subic Bay, the former U.S.
Turn it down
Navy
under
base
60.
west of Manila.
I don't want the bikes to
After
freeze,
more than 2
especially
months
if
of
it's not
deployment,
black.
Yeah.
But under
the
60.
Yeah.
French carrier has engaged with
And then
security
at
allies
certain
for
times,
emergency readiness
I'll
and
keep it at
regional
60,
security.
but I'll use a small electric to keep the room warm on there.
Yeah. We got electric hot water.
Marked his 65th birthday this weekend.
And what I
stressing the
do
importance
is,
of
but I'll
telling
tell you, when I walk out of the room,
the younger generation
I can feel the
looking
cold.
to contribute.
Hey, Joey, you got anything on the delivery fees? Been a lot of talking to you doing. Keeping up with that, maybe?
Yeah.
On the electric rates,
yeah.
delivery fees, and everything.
Gas companies?
Yeah, the delivery fees on the electric too.
The electric. Yeah, hold on.
Well, the Bronx Bombers
That's,
lost their razors
that
on
would be,
New York Yankees
oh.
dropping the ban on facial hair 49
What's the
years
national company?
after it was
National Grid.
National Grid.
owner
Yep.
George Steinbrenner. Current owner Hal Steinbrenner says, quote, "It is the appropriate time to move beyond the familiar comfort of our former policy." As recently as Monday, the Yankees had left reminders on the clubhouse chair of each player to arrive clean.
We were talking about that a few months ago. Did all that bills get paid for the Brockton School Committee?
Now,
Yeah, I haven't heard anything else.
Jason
No.
Walker reporting. Sticking with the baseball beat, Juan Soto homered at his first spring training at-bat for his new team, hitting a solo shot in the left center field in the first inning of the Yankees game against Houston, the Mets game against Houston. We gotta get that right. He's out of New York Met. Big shot there. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Fate change. That's literally, that's what, that's a 10-minute, that's a 10-minute subway ride from Mets Stadium to like Yankee Stadium, right? Like a 10-15 minute subway ride. something like that.
Subway series. I love the idea of that.
Yeah, well, that, and hey, that could happen in the World Series because Yankees are American League, Mets are National League. That could happen.
And they're both New York teams.
They're both New York teams. Travel costs wouldn't be that high. It's great.
We'll talk about congestion pricing too a little bit.
I don't think I'll shut down. So
Well, it's not. The cameras are still on. They didn't shut down.
I thought Trump said
No, they
He's gonna ask that.
The equipment.
I don't know.
DOT.
Alright, there we go. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And we're back here on Middleboro in Review. I'm Joey Driscoll, and Donna, we were talking about congestive pricing during the commercial break in New York, and I was mentioning there's a story there at the end of the news about the Mets and Yankees, and that brought up to me that hey, you know, the Subway Series. I want to see that happen.
I just like the name of it. I just like
yeah,
the
I
sound
like
of
it
it.
too.
Subway Series.
It's like a 10-15 minute subway ride from Yankee Stadium to Mets Stadium, and
Yeah.
that, you know, a World Series, a Mets Yankees World Series, that would cut down on travel costs so much.
Oh yeah.
The MLB would love that.
Oh sure.
The MLB would love that. And when we were talking about that, like a congested pricing thing came up. And Don, what are your thoughts on some of the most recent?
Well, the new skinny here, as far as getting it shut down, is Department of Transportation. I guess some of the roadways were built or maintained with federal funds, so I guess the whole thing about that is it has to be approved by Congress. So it has to be approved. So that's their fight, and then Governor Kathy Hochul says she's got to keep the cameras on, and then I'll see you in court. But also heard an interview from Governor Murphy of New Jersey, and he's like, they were trying to get it shut down too, and in a way they kind of. The governor of New York kind of snubbed of the people of New Jersey in a way. Maybe they didn't, but that's how I took it. I don't know. Did you see anything on that, Ed?
That I didn't see, though I'm going to disagree. If the Red Sox aren't in the World Series, it doesn't matter.
We could take you somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
And I would have to say, I think it would be a great series. No, it would be because it's always a great series back from when they started the teams in the aughts. But I would have to say, I would think playing either the Mets or the Yankees playing another team would bring in business for the people, the local areas in the state.
Yep.
So I kind of, like I said, I would rather see the two local teams to Boston would be the Mets, and in the playoffs would be the Yankees. That'd be a great rivalry. But in the World Series, I'd like to see a little further away so people would come down and see it.
Yeah, no, that's agreeable.
And that's for the local businesses.
Yeah, that makes sense to me too.
But to get back to the congestion pricing, this one final thought is the New Jersey governor was saying, well, they took a different approach, the feds, as far as getting that shut down. He says that they can go a different way, but we So in a way, the feds want to shut off now, obviously under Trump, and New Jersey does, and Long Island does, and Staten Island are all fighting against it. They just think it's a money grab.
Yeah.
They think that the MTA could do better with their finances. They're going to send somebody in to look over their books. How much is being wasted?
I have no issues. I think everything should be audited, but the thing is, I want my auditors to be professional auditors, and I've worked for companies where they've audited the company and audited my offices. It's a pain in the you-know-what. But, their decision doesn't come in a 24-hour period either. So I want to see a good audit. I want to know what the problem is. I mean, it seems now, I know I'm getting off the subject of the Subway series, but I think just because you don't like something, I was reading one, and everything is online. I mean, you want to know what's in the, you're not going to see line items on the CIA or military, but you're going to get a rough ballpark out of it. Everything's online, so saying, oh, well, no one's keeping it, which is not true, oh, and they should tell us they've always been telling you, you just never look for it. But the thing is, I was watching one that was, the budget has to be voted on by the House, by the Senate, signed by the President. So in 2017, there's one that came out where they were looking at the speed of shrimp that were running at the bottom of the ocean. And I said, that's pretty dumb. Of course, there was a scientific reason for it. But I go, but it's now people are saying fraud, and people are saying, whatever, kickbacks.
I don't buy it.
But you don't know. But there's no evidence to
Right,
it. It's just
right,
you
no.
just got two crazy old guys, one who has 17 kids with 4 different women, and I'm just bringing that up because it's weird. But who's saying there's all this fraud? Well, produce the fraud. I am not seeing AG Pam Bondi standing up saying we're going to make charges or we're doing an investigation.
Right. Well,
But then you got people who will believe it. You know?
Well, of course, people are going to amplify the noise. People like amplifying noise. That's it. It's just a big amplifier. Let's make it as loud as possible. If Attorney General Bondi doesn't, that's fine. I just want everything looked at. Just look at it.
Yeah.
I don't want them dumped. I don't want people getting laid off. I don't want this and the other thing. I want things looked at because we all know they all know. I mean, what he had that list of there's a guy 250 years old getting a check. You know what I mean? Maybe they're not getting a check, but they're still on the payroll. So some checks are going out to somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, but
No, the checks aren't even going out. They're on the list. You know, they're on.
Right. Well,
You know,
still
and
the checks
even
aren't going.
he had a change to that people who are 150 years old are receiving checks to are eligible.
But it gets people thinking. You
Right.
know, like I
There
said.
was the 360 on the chart.
Right.
And one person.
But you know what? These people aren't. Ed's right. These people aren't getting checks.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
some are. You gotta look at it.
The
Just
way
look
to
at
do it is, especially now
Please look
that
at it,
there's
you know?
always a death certificate that's automatically submitted. I remember my mother passed away in a February years ago, and I helped her with her books. You know, I did her bills and all that. I didn't get a check in March. You know, and that's happened to everyone.
Yeah.
It's like there's people on the voting rolls. Well, it doesn't matter if they're on the voting rolls, and I believe that you should every 3 years. If someone hasn't voted in 3 years, they're taken off. That's my opinion. I think that's the law.
I never thought that, but that is a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's the law. It doesn't get done because your local election people don't. Maybe now with computers they'll have a little, but years ago they couldn't.
I never thought of
It's
that.
not having them on the rolls. It's if someone comes and votes for them, and that's when it gets caught.
Right.
You know, but then we have to listen to all this voter fraud because the guy I supported lost it. Whoever would vote for him. It happens every year, and it's like
Amplification.
I was listening to the news here, and well, of course the president's going to, and he's talking about the dominance we're going to have for years. Republicans really lost the last 3 elections, from the presidency in 2020 and 2022 and 2018. They won this one, and we've seen that happen before. You know, we saw it under Reagan under his first term, and I can probably go back to a couple, I think, on Bush under his first term. It's going to happen. But the problem is, it's easier to scream when you're not in power. It's easy to support something when you're not in power.
Right.
Once you're in power, all of a sudden you see the changes. You know, and you see the support change. And then it's always the one in power now has to prove something, and usually doesn't.
Yeah, well, I think amplification is a lot. You know what I mean? We all want it looked at. You know what I mean? I don't want anyone to lose their jobs over and whatnot, but I mean, there's some stuff that, in my opinion, I think should go and has gone, and I'm fine with it. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to jump up in here and listen to every talking point out there and because people who run their mouth for a living, you know, jump up down and I mean, there's people who just talk. They talk loud. You know, I mean, oh my God, this and this is that. I'm trying to think of the word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's sensationalized.
Yes.
Sensationalized.
Yeah.
And I listen. There's a couple DJs in Boston, and I listen to them. It's like, I get your point, but I don't like the way you're saying it.
Yeah.
I just come on. I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, we're not all gonna, you know, because we have a certain guy in office, we're not all gonna die, and vice versa. Democrat, Republican, I don't care. Got voted by the American people. They don't work with them. That's just how it is.
All right, 7:47 a.m. Before we take our last commercial break of the hour, still our weather. 30 degrees right now in Middleboro. Cloudy skies. It will be cloudy throughout the day today. A high of 41, a low of 21 this evening. In Taunton, right now it is 31 degrees, a high of 41, a low of 22. And over the next couple of days, again, in Middleboro and here in Taunton, it's going to warm up pretty significantly. Driscoll, North Dakota, 19 degrees right now, a high of 44 today in Driscoll, North Dakota. So it is warming up in Driscoll, North Dakota significantly after about a week or so of bitterly horrendous weather. Negative weather, negative temperatures, extreme cold warnings in Driscoll, North Dakota. They're finally out of that, and it's 44 today, so it's going to be pretty nice in Driscoll, North Dakota. And in Driscoll, Texas, 44 degrees as well. High of 65 with a low of 43 this evening. All right, it's 7:49 a.m. When we come back, we're going to do our transportation topic and finish the show with our Today in History. We'll be right back here on Middleboro in Review. I am Joey Driscoll, and we'll be right back. You're listening to WVBF at 2:30 a.m. 99.7 FM.
You ever notice on the tractor trailers going down the road, they all got main plates? There's a loophole.
Oh, it's probably cheaper there.
Yeah, it's a loophole nationwide, and because my brother got it too. Everyone's got it, right? He has a trailer. He has a 20-ton trailer. He pulls his excavator around with. He paid $450 for 5 years. You know what it costs in Massachusetts to register? $1,100 a year.
I worked for rental car companies for 28 years, and when we started to become more national, we would get them registered out of like Indiana or something because it's just so much cheaper to register here. In Massachusetts, there's I think 40% of your fleet has to be registered here, but a lot of states don't even have that.
No.
So you go to the cheapest place.
No, and what the deal was, because my brother was paying the $1,100, but you know, his thing was, you know, I'm just gonna, because the DOT might, you know, they don't like it or whatever, and they'll find out. But everyone has them. Everyone has them. So every trailer out in the world has them. And there was some lawmakers, there was some AGs in other states were trying to get that to stop. All right, I wasn't sure if Massachusetts was one of them. And Buttigieg shut it down, meaning the Biden administration shut it down because it's feds. It's a federal thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they couldn't do nothing because they're all crying. Oh, you know, everyone's going to Maine to register. And they did, you know, white, you know. But my attitude is maybe if the prices went crazy, super crazy in our own state, maybe, you know, a little higher, but not too much higher. They'd get that registration.
Yeah,
and
if
then
it was $100 higher, they probably wouldn't take the.
Yeah, it's a lot.
$600.
Yeah, it's a lot of paperwork. You know, and you know what it is? It's a PO box in Portland, Maine. It's a building, and everyone has a PO box, and everyone has a PO box, and I don't know, there's some sort of loophole. But I'm gonna research it and talk about it on the show one of these days. But I don't know enough about it to broadcast it on the air. You know. But I mean, they just raise it so much, and everyone's gonna try to go around it. Even though we could use the money in the state for the registration, I'd rather see it go to the state. You know, but. Yeah, I mean, you're talking $4,500 compared to $450, $1,100 a year. So, I mean,
yeah,
a lot of money, $4,000. And you know what? Massachusetts changed it about 10 years ago. All the commercial registrations run out at the end of December, and most construction companies are done by the end of December. They changed it. All the trailers expire at the end of November. And a lot of people get the, you know what I mean? They can usually run like 2 weeks into December or up to Christmas sometimes in the construction industry. So I mean that's kind of sneaky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Being in this business, you just know everything that they throw at you. You know what I mean? Any business, you too. You know your business. You know what I mean? So that's what they throw at you.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, 0. And we are back. So I turned down the bump music. There we go. 7:53 a.m. We're going to finish today's show with a little bit of a mini transportation topic. We're going to do one topic today. That's kind of all we have time for. and then we're gonna do our Canadian history. We're trying to get out of here by right at 8 o'clock today. But this week there was some new news about the MBTA Communities Act. Some new towns talking about it. Some new towns voting on it. Rentham being one of them. The following is a statement from the Rentham Select Board and Interim Town Manager Michael King. The Rentham Select Board has received a response to its unfunded mandate determination request from the Office of the State Auditor, Diana DeZaglio, through the Division of Local Mandates, DLM. In October, the Select Board asked DLM to provide a determination on whether the MBTA Communities Act constitutes an unfunded mandate imposed on cities and towns by the Commonwealth within the meaning of the local mandate law and the extent of its fiscal impact. DLM issued a determination this past Friday that the MBTA Communities Act does constitute an unfunded mandate because the Supreme Judicial Court ruled the act is a mandate, and because the existing fund mechanisms do not fulfill the requirements of the local mandate law. Municipalities can either continue to comply with no guarantee of reimbursement for expenses incurred, or under the local mandate law, petition the Superior Court for exemption from compliance until funding is provided. The town still awaits the issuance of its requested fiscal impact analysis from DLM, which will determine the financial costs relative to compliance with the Act. The Town of Rentham is currently reviewing the determination with legal counsel and evaluating next steps. The Select Board will be discussing this determination at its upcoming meeting, which will be on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Don, thoughts on this?
Say that 10 times fast. I don't know. Didn't this Supreme Court, Mass Supreme Court, say write a new law or do something better?
Yes.
Yeah.
That it is. Yeah, it is.
I don't know. You know anything about it, Dad? You tell me.
No, I haven't heard anything on it.
No. All right, next.
Well, that's Rentham and Norton. I believe this week we're in the news when it comes to the MBTA community.
Oh, didn't they say we're going to take your federal funding, or you take your state funding away? Sounds familiar, huh? We're going to take your funding away. I don't know. You better do what we say, or we're going to take your funding. It happens locally, national. It's crazy.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, our state history is 1847 Mexican-American War, Battle of Buena Vista in Mexico. American troops under future President Zachary Taylor defeat Mexican General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna. So that was a big battle there, the Battle of Buena Vista.
Oh, okay.
Former a future president was a part of that.
He didn't make it a full term. You know that, right?
No, he did not.
No, he did not.
1861, President-elect Abraham Lincoln arrived secretly in D.C. after the thwarting of an alleged assassination plot in Baltimore, Maryland. 1883, Alabama becomes the first U.S. state to enact an antitrust law. 1903, Cuba leases Guantanamo Bay to the United States in perpetuity. 1905, Chicago attorney Paul Harris and 3 other businessmen meet for lunch to form the Rotary Club, the world's first service club. In 1927, U.S. President Calvin Coolidge signs a bill of Congress establishing the Federal Radio Commission, which was later replaced by the FCC, which was to regulate the use of radio frequencies in the United States. 1945, World War II, during the Battle of Iwo Jima, a group of United States Marines reached the top of Mount Suribachi on the island and are photographed raising the American flag. The famous photo there was taken on this day in 1945. Also on this day in 1945, the capital of the Philippines, Manila, is liberated by combined Filipino and American forces. Don, quick thoughts?
Yeah, that picture is a picture that always be ingrained in our consciousness and our memory.
Absolutely. Ed, quick thoughts
On
on all the today histories, or just one that you that you think is really important to talk about?
I would always have to say Iwo Jima. World War II was a battle of authoritarianism and dictatorship against democracy. Democracy always tends to start a little late, kind of is a little messy, because it has to be, because more people are involved.
Not everyone gets along, not everyone agrees.
At the end of the day, though, you have to make a settlement. But when it comes down to, I think you're going to get more people who are going to fight harder to save their democracy than to fight for an authoritarianism. Because after a while, you know, it's very easy for authoritarianism to rear its ugly head because they use base emotions, and the enemy is always someone standing next to you. So I think that was, at the time, the biggest, greatest fight to save democracy on the planet, and it was still a fledgling thing in many countries.
Our birthdays: 1868, W.E.B. Du Bois, American sociologist, historian, and activist. 1915, Paul Tibbets, American general and pilot. 1940, Peter Fonda, American actor, director, producer, and screenwriter. 1943, Fred Biletnikoff, American football player and coach. I believe he played for the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken. 1944, Johnny Winter, American singer, songwriter, guitarist, and producer. And 1946, Rusty Young, American singer, songwriter, and guitarist. 1951, Ed Too Tall Jones, American football player and also boxer as well. 1960, Naruhito, who is the current emperor of Japan. 1963, Bobby Bonilla, American baseball player. He still gets paid $1 million by the Mets.
Really?
Yeah, he's still going to get paid for at least another couple of years. He's going to get paid $1 million. I think it's every July. Is it every July 1st?
Wow.
Or May 1st?
Good for him.
I think so, yeah.
Good for him.
1964, John Norum, Norwegian guitarist and songwriter. Glenn Hughes worked with John Norum.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I forget the name of the project. I don't have time to look it up.
The many millions of projects.
Exactly. 1946, Gerard Mayo, American football player and coach.
What's he doing
former
now?
coach of the Patriots.
What's he up to now these days?
I don't know.
After getting
1994, Dakota Fanning, American actress, and passings on this day, 1848, John Quincy Adams, American politician, the 6th president of the United States.
He's not collecting Social Security still?
Who? John Quincy Adams? Maybe he's got a pension because he was House Rep too. You know?
There
He just
All
might.
right.
He just might. He's pretty smart, Robert. He just might.
And with that, we're going to end the show today. I want to thank Ed Miller for being
Thank
here.
you, Ed. I
Oh,
know
no
it's,
problem.
I know it's rough.
It is, but
I
no
mean,
problem.
yeah, I really appreciate anything.
Yeah,
you
now
know.
I'm going to go prepare for my show. I only have like 4 hours to do it again.
Yeah, so stay definitely
tuned.
definitely come in noontime for Stay Out Strong with Ed Miller and Bishop
Tony Branch. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
We do that in unison.
And remember, it's
That's
Bishop Tony Branch.
That seems to be like a rally call there. I think when we say it, Bishop Tony Branch.
Yeah.
We got to remember, it's Bishop Tony Branch.
There you go. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Ed. You need anything at the coffee shop or anything?
You got something to drink? I could use like a coffee roll or something.
You want a coffee?
No, coffee roll.
Yep. Sure. I'll go get you one. Yeah. Joe, you want another coffee, or you all set?
I got my iced coffee and I got some soda in my bag.
All right.
English. Let's see.
I could use a hot chocolate.
Hash browns would be amazing.
Got it, buddy. I'm gonna go get you some hash browns. How about that?
Okay. Yes. Thank you,
Coffee,
sir.
coffee roll.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Paul Tibbets was the pilot of the Enola Gay. Yeah. Paul Tibbets, one of my birthdays. I didn't have time to go into massive detail, but Paul Tibbets, he was the pilot of the Enola Gay.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did know that. And I didn't mention it. It was kind of up against the time, but yes, that's an important birthday. You know, hence why it's there. Hence why it's on my list.
Yep.
You know, but yeah, thank you, Scott, for putting that in the chat there. Yeah, he was the pilot of the Enola Gay, and then the other pilot, the pilot of Fat Man, he was from Massachusetts. I don't remember what town or city. I think Weymouth. I'm not sure.
What?
The other pilot, the pilot of Fat Man. I think he was from Massachusetts. I think Weymouth, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. Either Weymouth or Quincy, or I'm not sure. Yeah. But Sweeney from Milton. Okay. All right. Yes. All right. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I knew he was from Massachusetts. I just didn't know which town. Milton. All right. Yeah. All right. I hope everyone. Go over here 3 minutes. Okay. All right. I hope everyone enjoyed today's program, and I'll be back next week with another edition of Middleboro in Review. Bye bye.